All right, we're back. So, this little video is to go over what happens if we have too much nitrogen. So what do I mean by too much nitrogen? Let's say, remember I told you that nitrogen is always one of the ingredients in fertilizer. So let's say you have a farmer fertilizing his or her field and you have nitrogen runoff, and the nitrogen runs off into the streams. Now, as I told you before, nitrogen is often a limiting factor in plant growth. So this can stimulate algae to grow. If it might have plenty of carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen, but what this does, it creates this just what we call an algae bloom. Because these are one-celled organisms, they divide by binary fission and they just explode. When all they needed was nitrogen, they just divide, 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 and you have an algae bloom. And this might include blue-green algae, which is actually cyanobacteria. And now you might think, wow, this is really great if you have more plant life. But the problem is when these bacteria or these algae are growing exponentially, they are doing a lot more cellular respiration. I'm going to change colors just to highlight this. They are doing a lot more cellular respiration, this growth, cellular respiration. All right, so as you have this increased growth, this bloom of algae, that you have this increase of cellular respiration. Well, in then your pond or your lake or your stream, since you have this increased level of cellular respiration, the dissolved oxygen level decreases. Remember, oxygen is more of a limited resource in an aquatic ecosystem as opposed to the atmosphere. 21% of the molecules we breathe in are oxygen gas. But this is an aquatic ecosystem, so we have this burst of cellular respiration which depletes the dissolved oxygen levels, which of course is really bad for animals. So it can hurt the fish, it can hurt the macroinvertebrates, the insects and stuff. So this actually ends up, this nitrogen runoff, being destructive in aquatic ecosystems. In addition, some of the algae, and especially the cyanobacteria, remember, prey organisms have defenses against predation, and some of these secrete toxins. So we have a double whammy here. The nitrogen runoff creates these algae blooms. And not only do they deplete the aquatic level of dissolved oxygen, many of them also make these toxins which would make the water unsafe for swimming, unsafe for drinking for humans. In fact, if you live in Ohio, that's a problem that we currently have with Grand Lake Marys. So I will link an article about that, and you don't have to memorize every little detail. This is purely for your own interest. You can read about it or just maybe scan it. And so again, the purpose of this is to show you an extension of the nitrogen cycle. I'll see you in the next unit.